Disclaimer, this is meant as a joke. It is not a super serious in-depth guide to UKFPO changes. Any jabs made at UKFPO changes are merely for comedic purposes only. We are trying to look on the bright side and mask our pain with humor. Please don't get offended and subscribe.
The UKFPO, as we know, have announced that they're getting rid of EPM, they're getting rid of SJT, and completely changing the way medical students apply to their foundation posts. And they're introducing this new preference-informed allocation system. We already know this. They've told us this. It got a huge negative response, and they did it anyway. So, Mifumi, what are your thoughts on this new preference-informed allocation system? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Double thumbs down.
We knew about it, but now they've released guidance on what it actually is. So we're going to break it down. If I was a medical student last year and I'd been born a year earlier, how I would be applying to foundation posts.
So 50% comes from your SJT and 50% comes from your written exams and OSCEs, and they combine them together and then they rank you against every single medical student in the UK.
But now they have introduced preference-informed allocation. So what this means is they're basically saying that now we're going to be given a random computer-generated rank, and this is by the Oriel system. So what do you think of that?
If you are very, very lucky, if you are an Irish person with an Irish four-clover leaf, then you're going to be the luckiest person in the entire world. But if you're the most unluckiest person, then you might as well try and find an Isle of Man location.
Yeah, I agree. You might as well start looking on rightmove.com right now for places to live in Isle of Man. This new preference-informed allocation system, they've now released what this means and this whole guidance. So we're going to break it down for you guys so you don't have to spend ages just looking through a whole document and just get depressed. You might as well listen to this 10-minute video and
then get depressed.
Yeah, and then get depressed anyway. So they're basically saying we're going to get, out of all 9,000 applicants that are going to be applying for foundation posts, we will all get given a random rank that's generated by the computer. So this is what happens in the two systems. I'm reading this exactly from the UKFPO. So they call it Pass 1 and Pass 2. Pass 1 is first choice foundation school allocation only. So the algorithm will work through the applicant list in a computer generated rank order. If there are places available in an applicant's first choice foundation school, they'll be allocated a place in that foundation school. If no places are available in their first foundation school, that individual applicant will be skipped, and the algorithm will continue to work through the full list of applicants, giving as many possible their first choice. It will do this until it reaches the end of the applicant list. This is Pass 1. What the hell does that even mean?
So imagine we're going to use London as an example. There's only about 50 spaces in London, and the people rank 1 to 100. The first 50 people that chose London will get London, but the other 50 people, 51 to 100, if they ever ranked London as their first choice, they won't get that because all the spaces for London have been filled, which means they'll go into the second pass.
If your first choice isn't available because too many people have applied to it and it's full now, then the algorithm will skip you and then you'll get put in a new separate list, which is called the second pass. And once basically the algorithm has gone through all 10,000 applicants, the algorithm will either try giving people their first choice or it will put you into this new list called the second pass. So should we get onto that second pass bit?
Yeah.
What they've written about second pass is allocating unplaced applicants. So that sounds stupidly depressing already. Next, the algorithm will again work through the applicant list in a computer-generated rank order. Any unplaced applicants will be allocated a place in the highest preferred foundation school, which still has available spaces. It will do this until it reaches the end of the applicant list. So it's basically then saying the rejects of the first list are then going to be given another shot to be given their next highest choice.
It's preference-based, but it's not preference-based because there's a computer out there that's seeing if it likes you or not, and then it's ranking you, and then that's your life for the next 2 years.
Imagine, 10,000 people. Imagine being given that last number, 10,000. Like, you're like, I can't even touch wood right now. I'm going to start praying, honestly, every single evening. Like, I don't know. I'm going to convert to every single religion there is. Start praying to God every night. But 10,000 people, and basically, no matter how hard you've worked at med school, no matter who you are, no matter anything about you, you could be given the worst possible chance ever to get where you want. And it's going to affect the next 2 years of your life, which then has a knock-on effect and could potentially affect the rest of your life, right?
I think that we are both average medical students.
Me? But I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not. I'm definitely top 20% minimum.
But we know people who work really, really hard. They spend loads of time revising. They spend loads of time at the hospital to get their clinical skills up. But imagine if they put their blood, sweat and tears into this. but they get ranked 10,000. But the thing is, you don't even know what rank you are. Like, they don't tell you. So you're just going to be...
No, but you'll find out if you get like your 10th choice in Isle of Man, right?
Yeah, then you know.
In this guidance as well, what is so stupid, they've only included one small little paragraph about the influence of applicant behaviour and how the change of applicant behaviour is going to obviously influence where people apply and the actual percentage of applicants receiving their first choice. So what they've said is, during the stakeholder engagement exercise, modelling data for both the allocation based on the total FP score and the new preference-informed allocation system were presented. The data was taken from 2022. So last year medical students, the ones that applied and did all the SJT and all of that, they basically used the same data and worked out from that their preference-informed allocation system and who would get their top ranking and compared it basically. And so the stupid thing about this is it does not take into account how people's behavior will change. And it notes this, it says the outcomes of preference informed allocation each year will depend on the applicant preferencing behavior in the system for that year. So for example, if a school has 1,000 places and 3,000 applicants choose to list it as their first preference, then a relatively lower percentage of applicants will receive their first choice. So the UKFPO will work with its stakeholders to monitor the outcomes of the new system. So what they're saying is, for us, final year medical students right now, they are admitting that behavior is likely to change, but there's nothing we can do for you, but we will take this into account for other students later down the line.
I just feel like that they're going to do this for 2 years and notice that there's actually nothing good that comes out of it, and then go back to their old system or a new system, and then we're just going to be shagged.
I think they're too stubborn to do that. I think they're too stubborn. They've implemented it now and they've made this massive announcement. I don't see them changing it anytime soon, because I think it would show sign of weakness from them if all of a sudden they decide to scrap it.
But do you see it actually being helpful and getting better? Because I said that at the beginning, that this wasn't a good idea, but you didn't give your views. So what are your thoughts on the new system?
No, I think the new system could work if they added like some kind of, like, I don't know, some confounding factor and bias into their algorithmic equations to basically say, like, I don't know, like, to basically account for this behavior change. I don't know, I'm not a mathematician. They presented some kind of data and like actual equations to show that they've modeled this data on the fact that, you know what, people's behaviors will change. So now it's likely that more people are going to apply to London, because previously, if people didn't do well in their exams, they knew there's no point applying to London because of how competitive it was. Now, because it's a free-for-all, more people are going to apply to London. If they somehow could, in this algorithm, implement that fact, and that could be a factor and change the whole process and like change this whole preferences system, then yes, I can see it working. But they haven't said they're doing that. They basically said, yes, behaviours are likely to change and will potentially implement change in the future.
It gets better. I mean, who knows what they're going to be doing, but you mentioned something about behaviours changing in terms that everyone's just going to be applying for London, or, you know, everyone's going to have that thought. There is still the SFP, there's the Specialised Foundation programme, where those metrics still do count. But I feel like there's going to be loads more people applying for the SFP, because it's just, I might as well apply. Like, what's the worst that can happen, you know?
Yeah, I think so many people are going to be applying to the SFP, because that is the only way to somewhat guarantee yourself a specific location. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really, no one really cares about the different teaching opportunities at hospitals. That won't be the reason why someone applies to London or applies to Cambridge or applies to Manchester. The reason people apply is pretty much only because of the geographical location. That is like the main factor. And so if through the SFP you can apply and somewhat guarantee a spot in your preferred geographical location, rather than having to go through this whole preference informed allocation system, then people will just be like, why not? And so many people can apply to the SFP.
Because, I mean, if you don't get the SFP, you get put into the foundation program list again anyways. So there is no harm in applying.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win. So once you got your deanery, you know how they also rank you for your jobs. It's the same number that you got initially. Basically,
if you get shagged and you get number 10,000 for your school that you're applying to, then you're also going to get shagged and be number 10,000 for your actual posts that you're applying to. Which is crazy, right? You thought they'd maybe give us a new whole different system. Important information you guys need to know is basically registration opens on 12th of September 2023, and then you apply on the 20th of September, and the cutoff point is the 4th of October. If you miss that deadline, apparently they're saying there's no way going back, especially with this whole like allocation system. Like, yeah, you have to wait another year. Previously, like, there would have been extenuating circumstances. Now with this, they're basically saying no, hard cut at 4th of October. and then you basically rank it. You find out then what's happening, and you find out on March 7th of March. And funny enough, that's actually when Nottingham's first final year exam is. So that's going to be a very fun day finding out if you got your first choice. Yeah. And then that's it. Yeah, that's basically all the information you need to know. Like, as we close up now, Mafumi, any last final thoughts and any wishes of good luck to this year's medical school cohort?
No, because I want to be number one. I want number one, computer, Oriel, okay?
You want all the luck, so you're not giving it to anyone else.
I love you, computer, Oriel. Give me number one. Wink.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you? Any lasting thoughts?
All right. Any lasting thoughts? I'm dipping if I don't get London.
Oh, where'd you go?
I don't know. No, actually, I'm not going to put that in. That's going to affect my career. Any last thoughts? I'm trying to think of something that's funny, but also actually I can't. I can say. We need to wrap up before either of us get ourselves in trouble.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us for the podcast. Watch my podcast as well as his. That's about it. I don't have an ending.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. Bye.